Hey everyone, Casey here, 24, female. I've been a fan of this channel for ages. I figured it was finally time to share my wild revenge story. Now, something you should know before we get into this. I've always been a bit of a pushover. My self-esteem growing up was practically non-existent, but I was working on it. Enter Arlen, my knight in shining armor. We met in college and I knew he was the one. Arlen was kind, patient and understanding. This was crucial because I have chronic depression and trust me, I could have some really rough days. But Arlen stuck by me with no complaints, just pure love and support always. Now here's where the plot thickens. Arlen's mom, Catherine, entered the scene. I thought, hey, having a strong, confident mother-in-law like her could be good for my self-esteem, right? Boy, was I wrong. Catherine was a force to be reckoned with and not necessarily in a good way. Picture J-Lo's fierceness, but imagine it directed at you all the time. As the years went by and Arlen and I were still dating, I started seeing more and more of Catherine's true colors. She wasn't just confident, she was domineering. It felt like she wanted to control every aspect of our lives. And I, being the pushover that I was, went along with it to keep the peace. Arlen was a mama's boy, and challenging his mom was like walking on eggshells. Plus, I didn't want to make a fuss because, well, for a long time, I thought that I was the problem. I thought that I just couldn't handle her because of her confidence and that I was a weak, sensitive little boy. Boy, was I wrong. Oh my goodness, Casey, what on earth are you wearing? It's just sweats. No, this is awful. Remind me to take you shopping. Come on, Mom. Don't talk to her that way. Oh, shut up. I'm not talking to her in any way, just as a concerned future mother-in-law. She would always give me this hot and cold behavior. She loved backhanded compliments, so it was hard for me to determine whether she was just being feisty or downright bitchy. So here's the deal. Catherine, my mother-in-law, is not your typical middle-aged woman. She's the kind who still parties like it's 1999, and I'm not talking about a quiet evening with a glass of wine. No, we're talking shots of vodka, whiskey, tequila, you name it. Just out here living her best life all day, every day. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand the appeal of a good time, but when your mother-in-law is throwing back shots like she's still in college, it can get a little, well, wild. And this isn't just a recent development. Catherine has been a party animal from the get-go. In fact, her partying ways back in college is what landed her in a bit of a pickle, pregnant at 19 with Arlen. Classic case of not knowing who the dad was because she was living life on the edge. You'd think someone her age would have outgrown those antics, but nope. Catherine was still going strong. Now, I tried to cut her some slack for her attitude considering her history. I mean, it's not easy being a single mom at 19, not knowing who the father is and having little to no support from friends and family. But her wild and mean streak was taking a toll on my mental health. Every time I was around her, my anxiety would flare up like hormonal acne and I'd feel like garbage. It was a constant battle between my desire to keep the peace and my need to stand up for myself. So I decided to spill the beans to Arlen. I poured my heart out, explaining how Catherine's behavior was affecting me. Babe, we need to talk. What's wrong, babe? It's about your mom. I know she can be a bit crass and wild, but I don't know, babe. It's getting to me. Oh my God, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. I'm going to talk to her today. Don't you worry about a thing. I know she can be a bit much sometimes, so I'm going to ask her to let up with the jokes and stuff, okay? Thanks, babe. So just as he said, he had a talk with his mother, and for some days I felt at peace. Catherine didn't text me or apologize or anything. I just assumed that things were going to be okay, but obviously that wasn't the case. Catherine called me out of the blue one day and I answered it. Hey, Cut the crap, Casey. What's your deal with me? Huh? You trying to turn my son against me? Is that it? Huh? What? What are you talking about? You think you can just waltz in here and make me look like the bad guy? Well, you got another thing coming. Catherine, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't act all clueless now. You told Arlen that I was being too mean to you. It's not my fault you don't have any thick skin. I told him I'd tone it down or whatever. But believe me, I'm going to make your life a living hell. No one gets away with accusing me of something so stupid. I mean, seriously? Catherine, wait, please, let's talk about this. You couldn't even face me like a grown woman. How pathetic. You don't deserve any change or respect from me. Huh. Her threat scared the bejesus out of me, and it only made dealing with her more exhausting. But before I could say anything else, she hung up the phone and left me shaking, reaching for my anxiety meds. I didn't know what to say or do. It all felt like it was happening too fast. Unfortunately, she wasn't lying about what she said on the phone. As the weeks went by, it seemed like Catherine was on a mission to push every button I had. Snarky comments, passive-aggressive jabs. She was a master of the art. The tricky part was that whenever the three of us hung out, Catherine would flip a switch. While Arlen was around, she'd act like the sweetest angel to me, making him all happy. But the moment Arlen left the room or wasn't there, it was a whole different story. Vicious and rude with no holds barred. It was like living in a twisted game of good cop, bad cop. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, not knowing which version of Catherine I'd encounter that day, always depending on Arlen to be there with me so that I could avoid her crap. The mental gymnastics of trying to keep up appearances were draining the life out of me. I was scared and exhausted, and I didn't know what to do. You might be wondering why I didn't just talk to Arlen again. Well, to be honest, I was scared. The fear of what Catherine might do if Arlen found out about what she was doing scared the crap out of me. I just decided to become a puppet in her little charade, all for the sake of keeping the peace. But whose peace was I keeping? Telling Arlen the truth felt like opening Pandora's box. What if he didn't believe me because of how nice she was acting? What if he would confront her and she would put on a show and flip it back to me? What if he did believe me and the situation would just strain his relationship with his mom even more? 1,000,001 things could have happened, and I wasn't about to find out. I felt trapped in a no-win situation, silently enduring the storm that Catherine had let loose. Days turned into weeks, and I became a master of putting on a facade, smiling through the torment, pretending everything was hunky-dory. All the while my stomach churned with anxiety. It was a relentless game, and I was on the losing side, unfortunately. I didn't know if I could handle this any longer. I was even on the verge of telling Arlen about everything, but I kept on second-guessing myself. A couple of years went by, and I did my best to avoid Catherine, but obviously I couldn't hide from her forever. You'd think she'd get tired of bullying me, but I guess I was an easy target for her. So she just kept going on and on. She'd say things like, "You're so useless. I don't even know why my son is dating you." And, "You're taking all of these meds, but you're still such a shaky little mess. I think you need to get a refund, sweetheart. This is all so pathetic." I was about to lose it. I was even considering ending things with Arlen, even though that would crush me, but I wanted to prioritize myself and my mental health. And at the moment, that seemed like the only solution. But one day, I found a ring in Arlen's jacket. He was planning on proposing. My heart melted instantly, and I knew I couldn't leave him. He wanted to marry me. Me, of all people. Could you believe it? I was over the moon. And those rose-colored glasses were on, honey. I started thinking that maybe Catherine would finally respect me if she saw that we were engaged, so I decided to button my lip about ending things and start being hopeful for the future. Well, after all the proposal excitement, I turned 23. And guess what? Arlen decided to pop the question on my birthday. It was like a dream come true. I, of course, pretended like I knew nothing about the surprise, and we were over the moon. Surprisingly enough, just as I had hoped, it seemed like even Catherine was catching the love bug too. When Arlen dropped the news, she was actually happy. For once, it seemed like she was easing up on me, and it was a pleasant surprise. With wedding bells ringing in our future, I foolishly thought maybe we were turning a corner in our relationship. Perhaps becoming family officially would thaw out the ice between me and Catherine. Fast forward 2 months and the wedding was in full swing. Everything was rolling smoothly, and even Catherine was doing her usual party antics, downing drinks like there's no tomorrow and dancing like it's her personal nightclub. People either laughed, joined in, or judged her with their friends. All I know is that everyone was having a good time, and I couldn't ask for anything more. At least she wasn't being snarky or rude for once. A girl deserves some peace on her wedding day, right? Arlen and I were on cloud 9, of course, soaking in all the love and joy. The day was special, one for the books. I couldn't have asked for a better wedding with such a high. I figured it was finally time for me and my mother-in-law to turn over a new leaf. So a couple of months into wedded bliss, I thought, why not? Let's invite Catherine for coffee. Just a casual hangout to build a bridge. I dialed her number, hoping for a pleasant conversation, but oh boy, was I in for a rude awakening. The moment she picked up the phone, it was like a switch flipped yet again. The warmth was replaced with frostiness, and she unleashed her mean and nasty side on me just like before. I was taken aback, wondering if I had dialed the wrong number, but no, it was Catherine, back to her old self. You think you can invite me to coffee? What makes you think I would want to be seen alone with you in public? I'm already forced to hang out with you enough. But I thought that things were better between us. Ha, better? I never cared for you, Casey. I want you to know that. Then why were you being so nice to me these past couple of months? What was up with that? I was only doing that because I knew you had a wedding to plan. Sheesh, you think I was actually being nice? Don't make me laugh. You know what, Catherine? I did think you were being nice. Listen, you should be thanking me, okay? I cut you some slack because I knew my son would notice you being all depressed and mopey during your wedding planning. Then he'd start prying, and knowing you, you'd crack under the pressure. You're like a delicate little leaf just shaking in the wind. I had to do it. Consider it a wedding gift. Tried to salvage the conversation, thinking maybe it was just a bad day for her. But the more we talked, the clearer it became. She hadn't changed a bit. The facade at the wedding was just that, a facade. I hung up feeling a mix of disappointment and frustration. It was a harsh reality check. No matter how much I hoped for a better relationship with my mother-in-law, the truth was staring me in the face. Catherine wasn't about to turn over a new leaf. The question was, how would I deal with it? To be honest, for a long time, I didn't know. The good thing was I didn't have to know what to do, because one day Catherine just up and left. Life has its own way of throwing curveballs, doesn't it? You heard that right. Catherine pulled off a disappearing act that no one saw coming. One day she just left us, vanishing into thin air like a magic trick, leaving everyone scratching their heads. At first, I have to admit, I was kind of relieved. Catherine's toxic energy was gone, and it felt like a weight lifted off our shoulders. While everyone was worried, I was low-key chilling. I thought she might be off somewhere trying to find a new rich man to exploit, thinking she'd resurface with a new story and more drama. Sue me for enjoying some peace and quiet for a while. But 1 month had gone by, and my relief was slowly being replaced with worry. Then another month went by, and we went into full panic mode. Arlen and I started to get genuinely concerned about her safety. In desperation, we filed a police report, hoping they could help us find some answers. However, the police weren't exactly sympathetic or hopeful. They questioned why we took so long to report her missing. The longer you wait, the lower your chances of getting answers you'd like to hear, they said. It was a tough pill to swallow. Arlen was broken. It tore at my heart to see him like that. She's always been reckless, I know that. But disappearing like that, for this long. Something is wrong, Case. I can feel it. I know this is a lot to handle, Arlen, but I promise you we'll find her. How could she be so stupid? What was she thinking, disappearing like that? Do you think she did this on purpose? Babe, I think you need to sit down, okay? This is a lot and you need to rest. I'm so sorry about everything that's going on. As his wife, I did my best to comfort him, but the uncertainty was eating at both of us. A total of 7 months had passed, and we were forced to accept the grim possibility that Catherine might no longer be alive. We tried everything, search parties, news interviews, social media campaigns, but all in vain. It was a dark time for Arlen and me. 2 more months passed, making it a total of 9 months since Catherine went missing. Arlen and I had slowly started to accept that she might never be found. We were doing our best to pick up the broken pieces, trying to move forward without the closure we desperately wanted. Just as we were settling into our new reality, life threw us yet another curveball. I was in the kitchen cleaning the dishes when the doorbell went crazy. I figured it was probably just the neighborhood kids playing pranks again, but when I opened the door, I was met with the shock of a lifetime. There stood Catherine, alive, but not so well. She looked like a mess, just dirty. She also appeared to be high on something. Listen, I don't have much time, okay? You need to hear me. What I'm about to say is going to sound crazy, but I need you to stick with me on this, okay? Okay? I was too stunned to speak because what added to the shock was that she was holding a newborn baby in her hands. Even though I was as quiet as a mouse, Catherine, in her crazy state, started singing like a canary. It was the first time I saw Catherine look scared, vulnerable even, and the entire situation overwhelmed me. I didn't know what to make of it. The woman who had disappeared without a trace, leaving everyone in pain, was now standing on my doorstep looking like she'd been through the ringer. And what about the baby? The whole scene raised more questions than it answered. What's going on? Whose baby is this? Like I said, I don't have time to explain. The police are on their way and I need you to pretend that this baby is yours and hide me in your bathroom. What? Oh my God, Casey, I don't have time to deal with your airheadedness right now. What part of this are you not getting? All of it. Ugh, I don't even know why I came here, but I'm here now and I need your help, okay? I think they saw me coming here, so they'll be here soon. Take the baby. Not until you tell me everything that's going on and where you've been. We were worried about you, you know. How could you vanish like this? And why do you look like that? Are you high? Is this baby stolen? What? No, that's crazy. It's my baby. She said that as if it was the most normal thing to say. I felt like I was in some horrible nightmare. It's my baby, okay? I gave birth a week ago. That's why I've been gone. I couldn't face you people with a baby bump. Who's the father? Some man I met in Cali, okay? Jesus, is this an interrogation? I told you, I won't help you until I get all the details. Fine. His name is Ernesto. He's this swanky guy who's really cool and rich. He's been my secret lover for like 3 years now. 3 years? Why didn't you tell us? Because he does some not so legal things. Is that why the police are on their way? Casey, you're getting on my nerves. Let me in and take the damn baby, will ya? I swear to God, it's like I'm talking to a plank of wood, so dense. Even in this crazy situation, Catherine still found time to be a jerk to me. It's almost impressive how she can keep up her bad attitude. I asked Catherine if she was sure the cops were coming, and she was all confident and scared, saying they were on their way. So, against my better judgment, I let her inside and took the baby. Time passed and no sign of the cops. Catherine, thinking they wouldn't show up, went back to her usual mean self towards me. Unfortunately, Arlen was away on a business trip and he wouldn't be back for another week. I didn't tell him about this because I didn't want him to worry. Don't judge me, you all. I panicked. It was all too much to handle. So that means we were left alone with each other and a newborn baby to take care of. All of those feelings of anxiety came back. Catherine, maybe because she was high and or stressing out, started telling me more about her situation, stopping often, showing a mix of embarrassment and anger at her current problem. Turns out this Ernesto guy she got mixed up with was really bad news, dealing in all sorts of shady stuff. Now, she was being chased after by the cops because of the crap he was doing. 2 days went by and it seemed like the police had lost Catherine, and she had become ruder and ruder with each passing minute. She also dumped her baby on me like I was some nanny, and I was getting fed up. But just when we thought we might catch a break, I heard the doorbell ring, and to my surprise, 2 police officers stood at the door. I was holding the baby and Catherine was pigging out on the couch. When the police arrived, Catherine sprinted to the kitchen to hide like a kid caught with their hand in the cookie jar. The cops started asking questions, describing Catherine's appearance and wanting to know if I knew anything about her. That's when it hit me. The perfect chance for some payback. I was going to save her, but then I thought, why? Because all she's ever done is treat me like crap. Even now, after clearly making such a big blunder, she was being mean and pawning her kid off to me like she didn't give a damn. She didn't deserve any sympathy from me, so guess what I did? I spilled the beans, telling them I knew exactly who they were talking about, and surprise, she was in my house right now. The police looked relieved and explained that she was a dangerous woman with a lot of questions to answer, saying that they had been searching for her for ages. They said she needed to be arrested ASAP for her shady dealings. But before they could barge in and take Catherine away, I was asked if I could have a minute to talk to her. So there we were, me, the baby, and the cops all huddled in the kitchen where Catherine was shaking like a leaf. "Casey, what the hell? You let them in?" Yes, I did. "Why would you do that?" "Because you're an awful person and you clearly need to be locked up. I don't know what you did exactly, but you're finally going to get your karma." Catherine started bawling her eyes out, begging me to forgive her and to tell the cops the truth, but I wasn't about to cut her any slack and make up a story for her. I started snitching to the police, recounting everything Catherine had confided in me over the past 2 days, and telling them that she was dangerous. As Catherine cried and shook, the police led her away, and I couldn't help but throw a little sass her way. "Who's the one shaking like a leaf now?" So now I'm just here waiting for Arlen to come home from his business trip. I don't even know how I'm going to tell him about all of this. And on top of that, we have to raise his half-brother because of this drama. Please help me out in the comments, you all. Give me some advice on how to handle this situation, please. Despite the craziness and having to face my husband, one thing I can appreciate is that Catherine's in a holding cell, awaiting trial where she clearly belongs. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my crazy story. I'm Emily, 34, female. This year has been a roller coaster, and the source of it all is none other than my younger brother, Alex, 32, male. Honestly, after the crap he pulled, I don't think I have it in me to forgive him. Growing up, he was always a bit of a brat, you know, the kind of guy who wanted to be the center of attention in every room. I think the kids are calling it a himbo or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. I put the blame squarely on my mom. She was basically obsessed with him and gave him everything he ever wanted. As a result, my relationship with her was pretty sour. She would always favor him and let him do anything he wanted. And meanwhile, I felt like she was trying to compete with me or just make me feel like crap. Her internalized misogyny was what drove us apart. And I was done with her BS by the time I was 15. Of course, things were awkward between us, but I didn't give a damn because she never gave a damn about me. Turns out I wasn't the only one in the house who had problems with her. My dad, Oliver, 60, male, was also sick of her BS. They were constantly arguing and it wasn't great for any of us. When our parents got divorced, I started seeing Alex's true colors. A divorce is tough on any kid, no doubt. I was sad to see my parents split, but in my humble opinion, Alex took it to a whole new level. He went out of his way to deliberately piss me and Dad off when Mom had to leave. It wasn't just little things like neglecting chores. We're talking about countless incidents where either my dad or I had to bail him out of jail during our teenage years. There came a point in time when we were young adults where I was the only one who knew about his petty charges. Hello? It's me. What the hell is going on now, Alex? Look, I need your help. I'm in a bit of trouble. Trouble? Again? What did you do this time? It's a misunderstanding, okay? I need you to bail me out, please. Bail you out? Are you serious? I don't have the money for that kind of drama, Alex. I just moved out. You know this. Come on, you've helped me before. Just one more time, please. I promise I'll pay you back. This is getting old, Alex. I can't keep cleaning up your messes. Why can't you stay out of trouble? It's complicated. Look, I just need a little help right now. I'm stuck in here. I don't want to stay the night. Maybe you should stay the night. Might teach you a lesson for once. Come on, Em. Don't be like that. I need you, please. Like I said, I'm broke right now. Sorry you wasted your one phone call. Maybe try for Dad another time. No. Excuse me? I don't know where you get the nerve yelling at me like that when you're the one coming to me for help. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I've been so stressed out and the last thing I need is Dad hounding me on this. What's the big deal? He's helped you out tons of other times. Yeah, well, he sat me down not long after you moved out and told me that if he had to bail me out one more time, he'd remove me from the business and the will. Yikes. I know, which is why he can't know about this. Please, promise me you won't say anything to him. I seriously considered snitching on him at that moment. Why wouldn't I? He's been an ass since the day he was born. Why the hell would I want to help him out when he's been such a pain? Because he's my brother, that's why. That was my reasoning. Nothing is important if you don't have your family's back. So I knew I had to help him out. Fine, I'll figure something out, but this is the last time. I mean it. And you better pay me back. Thank you, Em. You're a lifesaver. With interest. Don't worry, sis. When I take over the company, I'll be sure to give you as much money as you want. You're pushing it, buddy. Thanks once again, Em. I owe you one. At this rate, you owe me at least 10. Surprise, surprise, you all. He'd end up in jail not even 3 months after that. And guess who had to bail him out again? You might think I was an enabler, and maybe I was to a certain extent, but I just didn't know what to do. Could you blame me? I was like 21 and dumb, but not as dumb as he was, obviously. It was a roller coaster of being pissed off, having hope that things would change, and being let down, and then being pissed off all over again. It's like he had some hidden agenda to drive me and our dad crazy. We reached a breaking point, and once I finished college, we stopped talking for a while. I'm not going to lie, Those couple of years without him was so peaceful. I thought that we were just destined to be estranged siblings. It wasn't what I wanted, but I had to distance myself to protect my peace. But then tragedy struck. My mom passed away when I was 24 and Alex was 22. It hit us like a ton of bricks. Even Dad, who couldn't stand her, was crushed by her sudden death. She had a skydiving accident that ended with a broken neck. Yeah, awful. The funeral became a turning point for all of us. In the middle of the grief and loss, we felt a shared responsibility to mend our broken relationship. It was like a wake-up call, a reminder that life is short and family should be there for each other. We decided, for Mom's sake, to put aside our differences and try to rebuild what we once had. Dad, Alex and I were just talking about how we should try and mend things, for Mom. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, I've been thinking about it too. Maybe it's time to turn things around. I mean, we can't change the past, but we can certainly work on our future. I'm proud to hear you say that. It's important for us to stick together. I know I've messed up a lot, Dad, but I want to change for Mom and for all of us. We need to be there for each other, and not just because we're family, but because we genuinely care about each other. Your mom would be happy to hear that. Now, more than ever, it's crucial for us to support one another. Let's make Mom proud. That's the spirit. And we also have the family business to think about. We need to work together to make it successful. Things already didn't work out with your mom and me. I don't want to see the same thing happen between you two, between any of us, really. Right. Business is important. We should put our differences aside for the sake of its success. I think this is a fresh start for all of us, so we can make this work. I don't know if it was the euphoria from all the grieving that made us all want to sing Kumbaya together, but whatever it was wore off almost immediately. However, I soon discovered that old habits die hard. Alex started his BS again, and my mom wasn't even cold in the grave. He was a loser and a nobody, always being a creep and committing petty crimes and ending up in a jail cell. It was exhausting. It seemed like he forgot the heart-to-heart we had just a couple of months ago. It wasn't long before he pulled a stunt that cut deeper than anything before. This year, he did something that shattered the fragile peace we tried to establish. It's a betrayal I'm not sure I can forgive. You see, even though Alex was back on his BS, I was determined to not see him slip and fall this time. As an older sister, I felt like it was my duty to at least try, even if he wasn't holding up his end of the bargain of trying to have a better relationship. I would plan for us to go to dinner or brunch. We'd go rock climbing and also play golf. You name it, we did it, all for the sake of getting closer and closer. But more often than not, he would ditch me at the last minute, saying that he had some important stuff to do and couldn't come. Which was funny to me because this man barely did any work on the family business. So I wondered what was eating up his free time. I had to pay for everything all the time out of the kindness of my heart, and he still had the audacity to cancel on me and not make an effort to be a better brother and son. I would talk to my dad about it, and he would complain as well. It wasn't easy on him either, seeing his son not stepping up to the plate. It was frustrating because we all wanted to honor Mom's memory by being a stronger, more supportive family. But Alex just seemed stuck. One day when I was finishing up at work with my dad, I started complaining again. Dad, I can't believe Alex cancelled on me again. It's like he doesn't care about trying to be a better person or a better brother. I know, Emily. It's frustrating for me too. I've tried talking to him, but it seems like he's stuck in his ways. I'm just tired of making an effort when he doesn't seem to care. I want us to be a stronger family. Did he forget what we talked about when Mom died? You know, kiddo, you can try your hardest to change someone, but it will never work. They have to be willing to change all by themselves. I guess you're right. Which is why I wanted to talk to you about something. What's up, Dad? Well, it's about the business. As you know, I'm getting old. Oh, really? I couldn't tell. Don't be an ass. Anyways, I'm getting old and I can't keep working. I've been thinking a lot about the family business. Wait, are you about to give me the keys to this place? Wasn't this meant to be split between Alex and I? I want to see it in good hands, Emily. I've seen your dedication and hard work. You've got the skills. And I believe you could take it to new heights. Dad, I appreciate the vote of confidence, but what about Alex? Shouldn't he be a part of this too? I mean, I know he's a screw-up, but... Emily, I've given Alex many chances. It's clear he's not interested in stepping up. I need someone I can trust to lead the business into the future. Dad, I'm honored, but this is a lot. I never expected. You've earned it, Emily. Your commitment to the family, your responsibility, it hasn't gone unnoticed. I want you to take the reins. It's just, it feels like Alex is being left out. Emily, I love both of you, but I need to be realistic. I can't force him to change. I can only hope he finds his way. This way, at least the business is secure and you can continue our family legacy. It sounds awful to say as a parent, but I've done the best I can with that boy, and he's a grown man now, so he can make his own decisions and I can make mine. That's why I want you to be the sole inheritor of this place. I understand, Dad. It's really tough seeing him like this. Even tougher trying to deal with the crap. You're telling me. I just hope he won't take the news too hard. I do too, sweetheart. But right now, we need to focus on what we can control, and that's making sure the business thrives. I know you can do it. Dad deciding I'd take over the family business was like a dream come true for me. I always wanted to run things, you know, but breaking the news to Alex needed finesse, so I figured a hiking trip might set the tone. We used to love hiking when we were kids, so I thought, why not? The day arrives and things seem chill. Alex is surprisingly in a good mood, and for a moment I'm thinking, hey, this might go well. We were hiking for about an hour or so before I decided to sit him down on one of the rocks and tell him the tea. Hey, Alex, let's stop for a second. We need to talk. Yeah, what's up? Dad's been doing a lot of thinking, and he's decided to pass the business over to me. Instead of cheering me on, he got all worked up, accusing me of stealing his spotlight, which is crazy to think about because did he honestly think that he would be in charge? When he's landing in jail like every other day, I'm there trying to share good news and he's turning it into a drama fest. The hiking trip meant for bonding became this heated argument and it was getting worse. What? You're kidding, right? That's supposed to be mine. Look, I get it's a shock, but Dad thinks I'm more suited to run things. It's nothing personal. More suited? That's BS. You two think you're so high and mighty. If Mom was here, she wouldn't stand for this crap. What do you even know about running a business? More than you. Oh, is that so? Well, good luck trying to run a business as a woman. You're going to tank everything that Dad has worked hard for. Looks like the apple didn't fall far from the tree, huh? What's that supposed to mean? It means you're a misogynistic a-hole just like your mother. You're such a bitch. I can't believe I came to this stupid bonding hike with you. You've always taken everything away from me, and now this? Why does Dad think that you would do a better job? I've been working alongside him for years, Alex. I know the ropes. I know how everything functions and how everything works. Well, I don't care. It's not fair. I've been wanting this for ages. We continued bickering, oblivious to the hiking group passing by. It didn't matter to us what they thought. Our family drama was on full display. As we were left behind by the other hikers, Alex suddenly took things to a dangerous level. He said, I don't care what you two think. I'm getting that business one way or another. Before I could even respond, he did the unthinkable. He pushed me. Yep, you heard that right. This man pushed me off the ledge. I tumbled off the side of the mountain, rolling and rolling, and thankfully I eventually came to a stop. Now, this next part was really foggy, but I remember seeing Alex's silhouette from where I fell, and he walked away, following the other hikers. Then everything went to black. Waking up in the hospital was disorientating, of course. It felt like there were 1,000 needles piercing through my arms and legs. My dad was there, looking genuinely concerned, but Alex immediately dismissed my attempt to share the truth. What an ass. Dad, what happened? What's going... Ow! What the hell? Shh, don't move. You had a pretty nasty fall on your hiking trip with Alex. You need to be more careful, Em. The doctor said it could have been worse. Why can't I move my body? You have 7 broken bones. 7? Yep, 7. You need to be more careful, sis. I told you to watch where you were going. What? What are you talking about? The last thing I remember... Oh my God, Alex, you... Now, don't get all worked up. You need to rest, remember? Dad, I need to tell you something. I didn't fall. Alex pushed me. What? Dad, she's delusional from all the pain meds. She doesn't know what she's talking about. No, Dad, he pushed me. He deliberately pushed me off the edge. Dad, she's obviously making things up. Can't say I blame her. I'd be pretty pissed if I fell off a mountain. But I didn't fall. You freaking pushed me, you psychopath. And then you abandoned me. You really tried to kill me. Dad, you gotta believe me. Dad, I didn't want to say this, considering, but I figure now's as good a time as any. She's obviously accident prone, and the business needs a capable owner, not someone who's always getting injured. What? I mean, who knows? She might have some irreparable brain damage. That's why she sounds so cuckoo bananas. After Alex finished lying, I was pissed off. Before I could call him out anymore, he said he had to skedaddle because he had some important business to attend to. Yeah, like we haven't heard that one before. He probably went off to go commit more crimes. Dad had to discharge me from the hospital, and we headed home in a strained silence. The plan was for me to live with him until I recovered, and our childhood home was accommodating for my current state thanks to the wheelchair accessibility installed for our late Gram. Things between my dad and I were a bit awkward, and I didn't think to start telling him that Alex was lying in case he actually believed what his idiot son said. Alex, in typical fashion, had vanished for 3 whole days with no contact, leaving me to wonder if he had just an ounce of guilt for what he did. Like I said, 3 days had passed, and I was chilling with my dad when he finally decided to grace us with his presence. He strutted in as if he owned the place, convinced that the business was now his for the taking. But the tables were about to turn. My dad, with a heavy heart, dropped a bombshell that left Alex in shock. All of us stood firm as Alex swaggered into the house, a misplaced confidence written all over his face. His eyes darted between me and Dad, expecting to find the triumphant atmosphere he had envisioned. Well, look who's back. I hope you're ready to hand over what's rightfully mine, Emily. Rightfully yours? You pushed me off a cliff, Alex. You're lucky Dad isn't pressing charges. When are you gonna stop with the lies, Emily? Alex, I've heard enough. You're not taking over, and you're not welcome here anymore. I loved seeing Alex's jaw hit the floor when he realized his plans had blown up. His hopes of taking charge crumbled, and he learned he couldn't dodge the consequences of his actions. Dad told Alex he couldn't trust him anymore, and that the business was mine. Dad said he believed what I was saying. Finally, it felt so good knowing that my dad took my side. What? Dad, are you serious? I am dead serious. You tried to kill your sister, Alex. Your actions are inexcusable, and I won't tolerate them. You need to leave, now. You're choosing her over me, Dad? Typical. You never liked me. I'm choosing the truth over lies. You're my son. I've always loved you, but you forget Emily's my kid too, and she deserves justice for what you did to her. Justice? She fell. It was an accident. No, Alex. I believe Emily, and I think you should be in the slammer for what you did. And this time, no one's going to bail you out. Dad, you can't be serious. I've never been more serious. Get out, Alex. You're not welcome here. With that, Alex was left standing in the doorway, his huge expectations shattered, while Dad and I told him to leave before we called the cops. You can't do this to me. I won't let you. Bold of you to assume you had a choice, you dipshit. Now you're going to rot in jail. Everything you did was for nothing. But this isn't fair. You did this to yourself, Alex. Emily's building a case against you, and I'm disgusted by your actions. I'm just glad your mother isn't around to see how much of a failure you've become. You're a disgrace, Alex. I hate to say it, but I never want to see you again, and I'm sure your sister feels the same way. Please, Dad, Emily? Wait, I messed up, but I can change. Don't do this to me, please. It's too late for that, Alex. You made your bed. Now lie in it. The days that followed were all over the place. Alex, after getting kicked out, just vanished. And Dad and I were so angry and depressed from the whole thing. It was pretty shocking that my own brother would try to kill me. Or at least, the very least, cause some serious harm like that. When Alex went MIA for those 3 days, I finally broke down in front of my dad. I begged him to believe me, and what he told me shocked me. Apparently he believed me all along and was ready to cut Alex off for good. It was just that he was in denial because the whole situation felt so surreal. It was pretty rough for my dad to realize what his son was capable of. Word on the street was that Alex was thinking of skipping town, so I had to move fast to make sure he faced the music. I got myself a lawyer and started the whole suing process, aiming to get him for everything he had and then booking him for attempted murder. It was my way of making sure he faced the music for what he did. The road ahead is going to be tough, emotionally, physically. I'm still healing, and legally, but I'm ready to take it on. I want justice, and I'm not going to stop until I get it. Hey guys, I'm Kirsten, 44, female. Thanks for selecting my story. I hope someone can learn something from this, and if not, just be really entertained by the crap storm that I'm going to tell you about, because I never expected something like this to happen to me. I've always kept in touch with my friends, especially my best friend Trisha. We went way back, all the way to our freshman year in college when we were 20 and 19 respectively. From the moment we met, we've been inseparable. We were thicker than thieves, like Thelma and Louise, and we always had dreams of living next door to each other and raising our kids together. Now, I know a lot of people say things like that and never follow through, but Trisha and I weren't like those people at all. Oh no, we actually made our dreams come true. We worked our tails off through college, found great partners to be with, and eventually bought houses right next to each other, just like we planned. Soon enough, we both found ourselves pregnant at around the same time. We conceived a couple of months apart. Funnily enough, that part wasn't actually part of our vision board. But hey, it made the journey even more exciting. Life seemed to be going pretty well for us. In a way, Trisha was like my twin flame, or like a long-lost sister. We did everything together, and we genuinely loved each other. Before I knew it, the years were flying by, and with each passing day, our bond only seemed to get stronger. Our kids were growing up too, and Kyla and Ricky in particular were practically inseparable, just like their mamas. I mean, who could blame them? Trisha and I were as close as sisters, so they were kind of forced into getting along. Trisha's husband and I even placed a bet on whether our kids would end up falling in love when they grew up. Trisha and I were skeptical, thinking that it was unlikely, but life has a funny way of proving you wrong. I remember that day like it was yesterday. Trisha and I were on her porch gossiping about everything under the sun, as best friends do. Ricky and Kyla strolled up the driveway, and there was something different about the way they carried themselves. It hit me when I noticed they were holding hands. Ricky was 19 and Kyla was 18, and it seemed like that was the moment they decided to officially be together. Trisha and I were caught off guard, but apparently all their friends and even their cousins had seen it coming for a long time. "Hey, you two, how was your day? Wait a minute, what's going on here?" Kyla and Ricky both took a deep breath, and then they spilled the beans. "Mom, Aunt Trisha, Ricky and I are officially a couple." "What? Seriously? Oh, that's wonderful news." "You too. I knew there was something different about the way you walked up the driveway holding hands like that." "Yeah, we decided to make it official. We've been keeping it under wraps for a little while now." "Looks like our husbands were right, huh?" "It sure seems that way, but seriously, congratulations, you two. We're so happy for you." "Thanks, Aunt Kirsten. It means a lot." "We were a bit nervous about how you guys would react." "Sweetheart, you could have told us sooner. We're thrilled for both of you." "Absolutely. You don't have to worry about a thing. We're here to support you, just like we've always been." "We appreciate that, Aunt Kirsten. We're really glad you guys are okay with it." "And who knows, maybe our kids will grow up together just like we did." "We'll have to start placing bets on when they'll become a couple." "Let's not rush things right now. Let's just celebrate this beautiful moment." "Sounds good to me." "Thanks, Mom, Aunt Trisha, for being so awesome about it." "Always, sweetheart. Love knows no schedule. We're just happy you found each other." It was like the stars had aligned, and these two were meant to be together. Trisha and I were, of course, stoked for our babies. That was until a couple of weeks went by and the kids were on a school trip and Trisha and I were hanging out in my home as we normally did on the weekends. Everything was going well until she said, "Hey, Chris, what's up? Do you ever think about our kids and whether they should actually be together?" "What do you mean?" "Oh, never mind. I didn't mean anything by it." Of course, I wasn't buying her BS, so I kept pressing. But she kept on dodging my questions, acting like everything was okay and that she didn't have any concerns. But I knew my best friend, and I knew she was hiding something. She even made up some lame excuse to go back home, cutting our tea sesh in half. I didn't know why she was hiding it, but every time after that, when I asked her about it, she would brush it off and say that there wasn't anything to worry about. So I decided to let it go. As the years passed, Trisha's concerns became more apparent during family gatherings. Her discomfort whenever Kyla and Ricky were being super cute and lovey-dovey raised red flags in my mind, and I couldn't ignore the signs any longer. And it bothered me that she was hiding something. "Okay, Trisha, I've let this go on long enough. Is everything okay?" "Yes, everything's fine. Why do you ask?" "Come on, Trisha. We've been friends forever. I can tell when something's bothering you. Is it about Kyla and Ricky?" "What? No, not at all. Why would you think that?" "Cut the crap, Trisha. I know you better than you know yourself. There's tension whenever Kyla and Ricky are around. What's going on?" "I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine." "Trisha, we're way past pretending with each other. Tell me what's really going on. I can sense your discomfort." "Kirsten, honestly, there's nothing wrong. I'm happy for Kyla and Ricky. Why would I have a problem with them?" "Don't play dumb with me, Trisha. We've been through too much together. If there's something bothering you, you can talk to me. Is it about the past? Are you struggling with something?" "Kirsten, really, I appreciate your concern, but I'm fine. Kyla and Ricky are great together. End of story." "Okay, Trisha, if you say so, but just remember, I'm here for you. We've faced challenges together before, and we can do it again. Don't shut me out. I know, Kirsten, I appreciate your support, but seriously, there's nothing to worry about. So I left it at that. I mean, what else could I have done? I was also getting kind of sick of constantly asking. Time passed and Trisha's unhappiness just kept growing. Every family get-together turned into a struggle, with her barely hiding her annoyance whenever Kyla and Ricky showed their affection. It was like she couldn't stand the sight of their happiness. Then Thanksgiving came around, and I could say that was the beginning of the end. During Thanksgiving, with the delicious aroma of turkey filling the air, Ricky and Kyla dropped the big news. Kyla proudly displayed her engagement ring, and the room buzzed with excitement. Everyone, that is, except Trisha. I kept my eyes on her, expecting her to share in the joy, but her face said otherwise. No smile, just a scowl, as if the news were a personal attack. I tried to shake off the awkwardness, focusing on the celebration and appreciating the news. But as the night went on, Trisha's discontent lingered. She even said she had to leave early because she had work, which shocked Ricky and her husband because they thought that she was going to be free and they didn't know about any work emergencies she had. Honestly, I preferred for her to not be around because her vibe was like a cloud over the festivities, and I couldn't ignore the growing strain. Ricky and Kyla were oblivious to the tension, absorbed in their happiness. Of course, they quickly recovered when Trisha made things awkward by wanting to randomly leave. But I was feeling super uncomfortable. Why was my best friend acting like this? Once Ricky and Kyla announced their engagement, the wedding planning chaos kicked in. We dove headfirst into organizing the big day. But Trisha's participation was noticeably lacking. She made a bunch of excuses, leaving me to shoulder the majority of the responsibilities. This wasn't entirely unexpected given Trisha's recent behavior, but it did catch Ricky and Kyla off guard. They assumed that as best friends, Trisha and I would be inseparable in the wedding planning process. Instead, it felt like I was juggling the entire affair solo. Trisha's growing distance became more apparent as the months went by, and Ricky began confiding in me about her strange reactions whenever Kyla was brought up. He couldn't shake the feeling that Trisha wasn't thrilled about them getting married. Have you tried talking to her about it? Yeah, I have. She keeps saying that everything's okay when I know it's not. I don't know why she's being so strange. Despite our concerns about Trisha, we had a wedding to plan, and there was no time to dwell on her negativity. Ricky and Kyla were eager to celebrate their love, and my commitment to ensure their special day went smoothly was a bigger priority at that time. The anticipation of the wedding day was palpable, a culmination of weeks of meticulous planning. Despite the careful orchestration, Trisha, who had been mysteriously absent leading up to the big day, seemed to become an unexpected source of disruption. Each accidental spill or item dropped felt like an unwelcome addition to the already heightened chaos. While accidents are a part of any event, the timing and frequency of Trisha's mishaps couldn't be ignored. It just seemed super convenient, don't you think? As we gathered in Kyla's dressing room along with other bridesmaids to get ready for the celebration, my role as the event organizer had me constantly shuttling between the dressing room and the venue. The responsibility was both exhilarating and exhausting. During one of my rounds around the venue, I stopped at the door of Kyla's dressing room. The voices inside were hushed, and my curiosity got the better of me. Kyla was talking to Trisha, and it seemed like the other bridesmaids were out of the room as well. "What's wrong, Trisha? You've barely been around, and you've been acting, I don't know, super weird." While I eavesdropped, hoping for an honest conversation, what I heard shocked me. Trisha spilled the beans, revealing her true feelings, and they weren't pretty. She was dissatisfied with Kyla, criticizing her choices and questioning if she was good enough for Ricky. It hit me like a ton of bricks. My best friend, who'd been like family forever, was holding on to some serious negativity towards Kyla. I never liked you, Kyla. What? You weren't raised right. Excuse me? You're not good enough for my son. You don't deserve him, and I hate that this is happening. How could you say that? What? I had no idea you felt this way. Oh, you must have known. I've been uncomfortable with you for a very long time. So why didn't you say anything? Why are you saying all this crap on my wedding day? If you had an issue with me, why didn't you come to me? So that I should look like the bad guy? Not a chance. I'm not ruining my son's happiness because of my personal issues with you. Even though he can't see your worth right now, he will eventually. It was a sucker punch. I couldn't believe Trisha had been hiding these resentments, and her weird actions on the wedding day seemed to be a result of this deep-seated disapproval. The weight of what I heard hit me hard. Someone so close to me was hiding toxic feelings. The wedding, meant to be a happy day, suddenly felt tainted by this ugly truth. Stunned and hurt, I had a choice to make. I stormed into the room, and there was my poor daughter, mascara running down her face. Seeing Kyla in tears infuriated me, and I couldn't hold back. I let Trisha have it, demanding to know what the heck her problem was. I was boiling with anger, feeling betrayed and hurt by someone I considered family. What the hell are you saying, Trisha? What is wrong with you? Did you hit your head or something? Trisha looked taken aback, probably not expecting me to burst in like that. I didn't care. I needed answers. The room was tense, and everyone else in there was quiet, probably shocked by the sudden confrontation, but I didn't care about that either. All that mattered was getting to the bottom of this mess and figuring out how to salvage what was left of the wedding. Trisha, what the hell is going on? Why is my daughter crying on her wedding day? Kirsten, it's nothing really, just some pre-wedding nerves. Pre-wedding nerves, my foot. I heard you talking in there. You can't lie to me. Kirsten, you've got it all wrong. I was just telling Kyla that weddings can be stressful, you know. Don't you dare lie to me, Trisha. I heard you mention something about not deserving Ricky and ruining his life. What the hell is that supposed to mean? You think I didn't raise my daughter well? No, Kirsten, you misunderstood. I was just expressing concern, you know, motherly advice. Motherly advice? You call making my daughter cry motherly advice? Trisha, you're supposed to be my goddamn best friend. What kind of friend talks crap about their bestie's daughter on her wedding day? Kirsten, No more excuses, Trisha. You're supposed to be family to us. Kyla treats you like a second mom, and this is how you repay her. This is how you treat her? But, save it, Trisha. I've had enough. You're a terrible friend, and I won't stand for you ruining my daughter's special day. If you can't be happy for her, then maybe you need to leave. We were arguing a bit more, and Kyla was trying to fix her makeup. Eventually, Trisha left because she was embarrassed, and I guess she couldn't take accountability for her actions. It was pathetic to witness, honestly. Why did she do this to me, Mom? What did I do? I don't know, baby. But I do know one thing. Nothing was your fault. She's a child, and she's clearly jealous of you. I mean, think about it. Why is she telling you this now? Like you said, if she had a problem with you, she should have approached you. But I think she knows that she has a BS excuse for hating on you, because no sane person would do what she did. Kyla cried a bit more, and I assured her that everything would be okay. Then I had a brilliant idea. I just thought of something. We're going to get back at that hag, only with your permission, of course. I started telling Kyla about my plan to expose Trisha for the witch she was, and this instantly put a smile on Kyla's face. She said that it was perfect, and we had to move ASAP to give that woman a taste of her own medicine. The plan was set in motion. We proceeded with the ceremony and tried our best to act as naturally as possible. During the ceremony, I was scanning the crowd for Trisha's stupid face, and she kept on looking sheepish, like she no longer wanted to be there. Good. I'm glad she was uncomfortable, but it was about to be a lot worse for her. Kyla and Ricky exchanged vows, and everyone in the congregation began to relax a bit and enjoy the festivities a bit more. That was when I had to spring into action. I made my way to the DJ booth and told him to hand over the mic and the controls for a couple of minutes because I had a very special announcement to make. With determination in my eyes, I took control of the microphone, signaling the DJ to cut the music. A hush fell over the room as everyone turned their attention towards me. Trisha, standing in the corner, looked like she was about to piss herself. I began by thanking everyone for being part of this special day, but hinted at an unfortunate revelation. Ricky's confusion was evident as I continued, addressing the room about Trisha's recent behavior. I painted a picture of her negativity and expressed my disappointment. Recently, I came across something that broke my heart. It turns out that my best friend of 20 years has been nothing but a horrible, evil person. You see, she made my daughter cry just moments before she walked down that aisle. People started gasping and Trisha was shocked, but she was about to be completely gobsmacked with what I got on her. The atmosphere became tense as I thought I had proof of Trisha's actions. With a dramatic flair, I revealed the audio recording from my Bluetooth earpiece capturing the conversation between Trisha and Kyla. People gasped as the harsh words echoed through the venue. You see, since I was the event planner, I had an earpiece and a clipboard running around like a hooligan. I made it a habit to have my earpiece record the conversations I was having so that I would go home, listen back, and plan the wedding accordingly. I guess it became a force of habit because even on the wedding day, this setting was still on, even if I didn't need it later on because it was the actual day of the wedding. Thank God for that, because without that, I wouldn't have had that sweet audio recording. Mom, is all this true? Did you really say that to her? I can explain. How could you do that to Kyla on our wedding day? Ricky, sweetheart, I didn't mean for things to get so out of hand. I was just what, Mom? What could possibly justify making a scene like that? You embarrassed Kyla, you embarrassed me, and you embarrassed yourself. I was just worried, Ricky. I was worried about whether Kyla was the right fit for you, and I let my concerns get the best of me. Worried, Mom? We've been together for years. Kyla is my partner, the love of my life. You had no right to question that on our wedding day. I know. You can't even defend yourself. Do you really think you can just trash talk Kyla like that and then pretend everything is okay? Ricky, please understand me. I didn't mean it. Trisha's face turned multiple shades of red as the recording continued to play for everyone to hear. She looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. Ricky's scowl deepened, clearly appalled by his mother's behavior. The guests looked shocked, and a lot of them were also scowling at Trisha. As I stopped the recording after I let it play a couple of times, the whole room was silent. You could hear a pin drop, and you could hear Trisha nervously gulp. How could you do this to me? You did this to yourself, Trisha. You're an awful person, and I'm glad that I've finally been able to see it. I'll never forgive you for this. Good, because we'll never forgive you either. Security, please escort her out of here. What? You're going to kick out your own mother? We'll talk about this later, Mom. I'm still very hurt by all of this. I think it's best if you leave. I can't believe this. You're trying to ruin my life? Well, you better believe it, Trisha. No one gets away with making my daughter cry. Now get out of here. As the commotion settled and Trisha tried to rally support from the crowd, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. Part of me was angry, not just at Trisha, but at myself for not recognizing the signs earlier. I prided myself on being an attentive and supportive mother, and the fact that I had missed Trisha's true nature for so long made me feel crappy. Trisha attempted to explain herself, but I wasn't having it. Nope. You had so much time to talk to me about it, about everything, about whatever it is you can't seem to stand about my daughter. You don't just get to speak about it now that You're in hot shit. Get out of here. Kyla, Ricky, and I will hear you out when we are ready. She literally had months to come clean about whatever it was that was bothering her, but she chose to do it on a day that was meant to be filled with joy and happiness. So she could hold on to her excuses for a bit longer because we were determined to get rid of all the bad vibes and continue with the festivities. Finally, feeling defeated, that's when Trisha decided to not embarrass herself further and cooperate with the security guards and leave. Despite feeling stupid for not seeing through Trisha's facade earlier, there was a strange sense of relief in finally understanding her true colors. A person who deliberately tries to sabotage a wedding, especially one involving their own family, is someone with a serious lack of decency and empathy. The wedding continued once Trisha had left the party, although there was a bit of awkwardness. The happy and fun energy of Kyla and Ricky helped lift the spirits. The couple was glowing, and their genuine love for each other overshadowed the crap that Trisha had attempted to throw on this special day. Hours had gone by, we were still enjoying ourselves, and Trisha had the audacity to reach out to me through calls, but I declined each one. I sent her a firm text, making it clear that I wasn't ready to talk to her. The audacity to harm my daughter on such a significant day was unforgivable. Even Trisha's husband was visibly upset. He chose to leave the wedding early, presumably to have a serious conversation with his wife. I couldn't predict how things would go, nor did I particularly care. My focus was on supporting Kyla and Ricky, ensuring that their wedding day, despite the hiccup, remained a cherished memory for them. As the night went on, I couldn't shake the anger and disappointment in Trisha's betrayal. I promised to protect my daughter from any future harm, even if it meant cutting ties with someone I had considered a best friend for years. Trisha had chosen her path, and I had chosen mine, one that prioritized the happiness and well-being of my family over toxic relationships. Hey everyone, my name is Veronica, 27, female, and I'm just sharing a piece of my story because it's so crazy. So picture this. I moved from the sunny vibes of Greece to the bustling streets of the US. New York City, to be specific. Chasing that American dream everyone keeps talking about. Now, you might wonder why I'd leave the beautiful beaches and olive groves, but life's an adventure, right? I knew that I had to spread my wings, and things weren't going so great for me back home, so why not move to the land of the free to get a slice of that American dream? I met Leon at the airport, and let me tell you, it was the most unexpected romance of my life. Life does have its way of surprising you, I guess. He caught my eye, and we started chatting a bit, and we were really hitting it off. Turns out we were both discovering this new country, and I leaned on him quite a bit to guide me through the ropes of American life, because he had a bit more experience than I did. We started as friends, of course, exploring the city together, trying out those famous New York hot dogs and laughing at the quirks of American culture. Soon, though, that friendship turned into something more. Leon was different, and he always said the sweetest things. I don't know what it was about you, but I just can't stop thinking about you. You truly are a special girl, Veronica, and one day I'll make you my wife. He talked about introducing me to the two most important women in his life, his mom, Ramona, and his sister, Julia. Now, that's where the twist comes in. Meeting the family is usually a big step, right? Well, I was pumped to make a good first impression. I thought we'd be one big happy family and I'd be living the dream. But reality had other plans. When Julia and Ramona finally landed on US soil, the warm welcomes I imagined turned into icy and cold stares. They made it clear they thought I wasn't good enough for Leon. Okay, I get it. Protectiveness is normal, but this was on a whole new level. Mama, siostra, this is Veronica. She's my wonderful girlfriend. Hi, nice to meet you both. Quite an interesting choice you've made, Leon. Definitely not what we expected. Come on, Mom. Julia, give her a chance. Greek, right? How fancy. Never thought I'd see the day you'd go for someone like her. Let's not make this about where she's from. That doesn't matter. I love her, and you will too if you give her a chance. Really? It's so lovely to finally meet you. I've been looking at different spas we could go to, really get to know each other better. Oh, you'll love this place I found on 1227 Broadway. You'll love it, I'm sure. What makes you think that we would want to do that with you? Oh, well, I just thought that maybe we could hang out and get to know each other a bit better. What makes you think you're good enough for my son? Then Leon said something in Polish, probably telling her to back off, but she just responded with something that sounded rude, honestly. I'm glad I didn't hear what she said. You're a designer, right? What does that even mean? I design fashion, clothing, accessories, things like that. Artsy stuff, Leon. Is this the life you really want? Yes, Mom. Veronica's talented and makes me happy. That's all that matters. This is just unexpected. I'm not here to meet expectations. I'm here because I care about Leon. We'll see about that. No matter how hard I tried to win them over, it was like I was speaking a different language. They would criticize me, and if they weren't criticizing me, they were just flat out insulting me, and I was left feeling like an outsider in my own relationship. It sucked. Despite Ramona and Julia's disapproval, Leon and I were focused on trying to make things work. We found a small apartment to move into together, hoping that taking this step would somehow help the strained relationship with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law by showing them that we were serious about making this work. Moving in together came with its own challenges, of course. We were navigating through furniture shopping, setting up our new space, and adjusting to each other's habits. It was both exciting and nerve-wracking. But we made sure to love each other throughout it all. Then one day, Leon and I got some interesting news. I was pregnant. Yep, you heard that right. I was pregnant with Leon's baby. We were over the moon. Leon started going crazy. This is amazing. I'm so happy. We need to baby-proof everything, and we need to get those parenting books. Calm down, my love. We'll get to all of that. Don't worry. I'm going to make you the happiest wife and mother this world has ever seen. Just you wait. Leon and I were navigating this new chapter, excited about our growing family, even though we weren't married. Leon, in particular, was determined to provide and make our lives secure. He wanted us to get married ASAP, and I was also excited for this next chapter in our lives. His enthusiasm was contagious, and we were looking forward to sharing the news with his mom and sister. Breaking the news, however, didn't go as planned. Ramona's reaction was explosive, to say the least. What sort of whore gets pregnant without a ring on her finger? Are you trying to shame us and our family? What? I didn't think that it was a big deal. You're disgusting. Guys, enough. We don't care about that stuff. You should be happy for us. It struck me as wildly unfair, especially given that Leon was equally involved in the baby-making process. But I mean, misogyny is a thing, so wasn't too surprised. It seemed tradition held a special place in Ramona's heart, and our unconventional approach was a huge offense in her eyes. We spent the rest of the afternoon arguing, and instead of going home happy with some gifts and some praise, Leon and I were silent in the car ride home because of how sad and angry we were. I couldn't help but wonder if our relationship with Ramona and Julia could ever recover from such a huge disagreement. Leon and I hustled to tie the knot swiftly. No grand ceremony, just a quick visit to the marriage court, signatures on documents, and appreciating our marital paradise. Leon promised a proper celebration down the road, and I was cool with that because, hey, I was officially married to the man of my dreams. Our simple joy, however, wasn't enough to make Ramona and Julia happy. Their disapproval remained, but I was reaching a point where their opinions mattered less and less. My focus shifted to maintaining a healthy pregnancy and blocking out the noise of their negativity. Screw those guys. 3 months had gone by and my belly started growing more and more. I was sitting in my living room working on some designs when Julia paid an unexpected visit. I wasn't prepared for what she was about to ask. "Oh, I wasn't expecting you. Leon isn't home right now." "I'm not here for Leon. I'm here for you." "Oh, okay. Well, come on in." "Ugh, I hate that I even have to come and ask you for this, but as you can see, I'm desperate." "What's going on?" "Well, my wedding is coming up and I was meant to have a custom-made gown. Unfortunately, my seamstress fell down a flight of stairs or something, and now she can't make my dress." "Oh, no, that sounds awful." "I know, right? So unprofessional." "Right. Anyways, that's why I'm here. I wanted to see if you'd be able to make one for me. Please." Julia's unexpected request hit me like a ton of bricks. She wanted me to design her wedding dress, despite my initial hesitation. I decided to take on the challenge, hoping that this shared project would help build a stronger connection between us. Days turned into a blur of hard work, my focus entirely on creating the perfect gown for Julia according to her wishes. I literally dropped all the other projects I was working on just to focus on this, and it seemed that Julia was slowly warming up to me. 2 weeks of working had gone by when I got a really bad cramp in my stomach. I thought it was just pregnancy stuff, but it felt worse and worse, and then my entire world came crashing down. I had a miscarriage. The news shattered my world, and in a panic I called Leon, telling him to rush home. He found me in the bathroom, and when he saw the look on my face, he immediately looked like he wanted to cry. The hospital visit only made this nightmare reality, and when we got home, Leon and I just cried in each other's arms. A couple of days passed. I'll admit I wasn't on my phone, nor was I looking on the dress. I mean, how could I? Leon even took a couple of days off work just to process the grief. Me not answering the phone was like World War III, apparently, because one day Ramona stormed through the front door and started yelling, agitated and demanding answers. "What is the meaning of this crap? Are you sure you're a designer? You're so unprofessional." "Ramona, please, you don't understand what's been going on. Please sit down and we can talk about it." "I've been calling you. Julia has been calling you. And now she's gone full bridezilla because she doesn't know how her gown is coming along. What the hell is wrong with you? Where's Leon?" "Ramona, I lost the baby." That's when Ramona stopped her rambling and took a good look at me, realizing that my belly looked much smaller than before. She paused as if she was thinking about what to say, and then she started going off again. "Of course you lost the baby. You can't do anything right." "Excuse me?" "You heard me. You're like a reverse Midas. Everything you touch turns to crap. Of course you couldn't keep a baby. You just insist on embarrassing this family. That's what you want, isn't it? To embarrass us, huh?" I started crying, and that's when Leon came down the stairs. "What's going on, babe? Why are you crying? Oh, Mom, what are you doing here?" "Why didn't you tell me that this wench lost the baby?" "Don't you dare talk about her like that." "Leon, you want to bring shame to this family? Isn't it bad enough that she got pregnant without a ring and now she's lost the damn baby? Can this lady do anything right? Please, choose someone else. It's not too late." Leon started yelling in Polish, and she yelled back. Leon's usually calm demeanor changed into a full-blown rage. I had never seen him that pissed before. The tension was crazy, and I sensed that he must have been telling Ramona to get out because she was now heading for the door. As Ramona left, she said some hurtful words, each one cutting deeper than the last. "You're a misfortune magnet, Veronica. Now you know this. You can't even keep a baby. How pathetic. Don't bother finishing the dress, and don't bother showing your face at the wedding. Maybe the miscarriage was a good thing because you're a sorry excuse for a mother." Once she was out of sight, the weight of the situation crashed down on me, and I couldn't contain my tears. Leon, ever supportive, held me close. He was reassuring me and telling me not to listen to her words. But how could you not listen to such awful words like that? She was horrible. Ramona didn't care for me, like at all. The hurtful words echoed in my mind. My mother-in-law hated my guts, and I didn't even know what I did to deserve all of her crap. Well, folks, Julia's wedding day breezed past eventually, and as Ramona warned, I kept my distance. What was the point of attending when the rift between us was so deep? After the confrontation with Ramona, I noticed they had both blocked me, a clear message that they wanted nothing to do with me, so I decided to respect their wishes. Leon, ever supportive, was so ready to sever ties with his sister and mother for my sake. It shocked me, and I found it super sweet, but I couldn't bear to be the cause of their family falling apart. I insisted that he maintain a relationship with them because family is important, right? You might have been wondering what I was up to when Leon went off to Julia's wedding. Well, I just stayed indoors, being the Real Housewives of Orange County. After the depression from the miscarriage and the horrible fight with my mother-in-law, I found myself on the couch more and more, just spiraling further into my depression. 5 whole months drifted by, and during that time, I hadn't received a peep from Ramona and Julia. I didn't want to reach out because I was still hurt, of course, but above all, I didn't want to reignite the tension that was between us. I figured that no contact was better than having to stomach any awkwardness between us. I convinced myself that perhaps we would never cross paths again, a thought that offered a strange sense of relief. However, life has a way of throwing unexpected curveballs. After 5 whole months of radio silence, I heard someone knocking like crazy on my door. To my shock, it was Ramona, looking really distressed. She barged in and she muttered to herself something about, "I never thought she'd treat me like this." "What is going on?" "How could she do this to me? After everything I've done for her, that ungrateful dog." "Ramona, stop. You will not come into my house like this. What's happening?" "Oh, Veronica, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for everything that I did to you. Please, you have to help me." "Help you with what?" I don't even know where to begin." "Come, sit. Let me get you some tea. You're shaking like a leaf." I put the kettle on, preparing a cup of tea for Ramona, silently hoping the warmth would soothe the tense air in the room. As she finally settled in, Ramona began telling me a story that almost seemed too wild to be true. Julia, it turns out, had become pregnant shortly after her wedding. The entire household was overjoyed, of course. Must have been nice. However, just 1 month into the pregnancy, tragedy struck. Julia suffered a miscarriage. Hearing that news was so triggering, considering I knew exactly what she was going through, and I felt so bad for Julia. Part of me wished I had reached out even just once, because I'm sure she needed a shoulder to cry on, someone who understood her pain. Ramona, however, took a different stance, of course. She confessed that she couldn't appreciate Julia having a miscarriage. She called her a bad mother and also called her careless. My empathy turned to frustration as Ramona failed to comprehend the complexity of a miscarriage, because we all know that miscarriages aren't anybody's fault for the most part. "That's when the whore kicked me out." "Okay, you need to stop calling people that." "But it's true. I mean, can you imagine? I'm her mother, for Pete's sake. How dare she?" Now, Ramona found herself homeless with no place to turn. "So, I'm assuming you're here because you need a place to stay? You know, maybe you're not as dense as you look. Listen, if you're gonna continue to insult me, then I suggest you leave." "What? You can't do that to me." "If you are disturbing my peace, then I absolutely can. Besides, why are you asking me for a place to stay? Why can't you ask your son?" "Well, you see, the thing is, apparently, even though I told Leon that it would be important to still be in his family's lives, I told both Julia and Ramona that he didn't want anything to do with them at the wedding. Apparently, he still considered her his mother, but he told her that she shouldn't reach out to him for anything. I thought he was just being dramatic, so we didn't pay much mind to him. But when I called him and told him my situation, he laughed and then he hung up. The family drama seemed to be escalating to new heights. Definitely better than the crap I see on the Real Housewives of Orange County. Ramona started talking about how she would move all of her things in the house by the end of the week, and I had to put a stop to her madness. I couldn't believe the audacity. Ramona thought she could just assume she had a place in my home, especially after her own son had distanced himself. Can I get my key now? No. What do you mean, no? You said you'd help me. I never said that. I just said I'd hear you out. Okay, but you're going to help me, right? Why on earth would I help you, especially if your own son wants nothing to do with you? Are you crazy? Don't talk to me that way, you cow. You see? It's like you're incapable of saying nice things. How do you expect people to help you if you have such a nasty attitude? You disgust me, Ramona. You made a mistake coming here. I think it's time for you to leave. The reality of her situation seemed to hit her hard. She was taken aback, realizing that her expectations were far from reality. In an attempt to smooth things over, Ramona began backpedaling, claiming she didn't mean the awful things she had said about me, but I wasn't about to let her off the hook that easily. I sternly told her she needed to leave my house before I called the police. Her reaction was nothing short of a tantrum, yelling, crying, cursing, you name it. It was embarrassing to witness, honestly, a grown woman acting that way. Still, I stood my ground, refusing to be manipulated by her emotional outburst. How could you do this to me? I'm your mother-in-law. Exactly, yet you insisted on treating me like crap. Since the day I met you, I've been nothing but kind to you, but you always beat me down. And now you want me? Now you need me? You're only coming to me because you have nowhere else to go. And even when you're desperate, you are an ugly bitch. Get out of here. You can't do this to me. I have nowhere else to go. I don't care. Get out. You deserve to live on the streets. She started crying even harder, saying I was evil for trying to kick her out of my house. Can you believe the nerve of this woman? Despite her theatrics, I told her that I would also call Leon and let him know what she was doing. She continued crying, accusing me of being heartless for not allowing her to stay with us. The irony of her calling me heartless when she had shown no empathy for Julia's or my miscarriage wasn't lost on me. As the police were on their way, Ramona's complaints grew louder and her rage intensified. I'm not leaving. You can't make me. Maybe I can't, but the police can. What? You call them? Yep. While you were crying like a baby, I talked to the operator. They're on their way. She panicked, realizing how screwed she was, and begged me to call them off. Shockingly, she revealed that there were issues with her visa and she was staying in the country illegally. This was news to me, but it was too late. The police were en route and she continued to resist leaving. Call them off right now. No. You're making me feel unsafe in my own home. You need to leave. But they'll look into my records and see that my visa isn't valid, Veronica. And that's my problem? How? Ugh, you're awful. Right back at you. You think you can come in here and claim this place as yours. Let me tell you, the only place you can claim as your own is the jail cell. You'll be rotting in before they ship you back to Poland. When the police arrived, they had to physically remove her from the house as she kicked and screamed, demanding to be let go. The drama attracted some curious neighbors, adding an extra layer of embarrassment to the whole situation. When she was shoved into the cop car, I immediately went back inside and locked the doors, trying to understand what had just happened. It was all so crazy. I immediately called Leon to tell him what happened, and he was left speechless. He promised to rush home to make sure I was okay, and I anxiously waited, still recovering from the shouting and screaming. The chaotic scene left me shaken, questioning how things had gotten to this point. When Leon came back home, he held me, assuring me that everything would be okay. He apologized for not revealing earlier that he had cut off ties with his family, thinking it might have prepared me for this situation. A heads up would have been nice, of course, but I was just glad that the shit show was finally over and that I wouldn't have to worry about Ramona ever again. Curious about whether he would go to the police station, I asked him, but he made it clear that he had no intention of going. I meant it when I said that I wouldn't contact them, babe. They hurt you. Anyone who hurts you has no place in my life. Oh, babe, I love you so much. Thank you for being there for me. Well, folks, that's the end of that, and how I got revenge on my horrible mother-in-law for the crap she was putting me through. After this drama, I'm a firm believer in karma. I think that life treats you exactly how you treat other people. And if that is true, then it means that this is only the beginning of Ramona's downfall. I've recently learned that Ramona is still in jail, awaiting trial. The police discovered her illegal stay in the country, and they're planning to formally charge and fine her. Apparently, there's even talk of deportation back to Poland. It feels good to know that those two are no longer part of my life, especially Ramona. Good riddance. I'm Harley, and I'm 33 years old. I'm someone who never really had a dramatic or crazy life. Things were going pretty well for me until this crap, and to think that this all happened in 1 year is wild. So earlier in the year, my mother-in-law, Geraldine, was very excited to host a retirement party for my father-in-law, Robert. Everyone was so excited, and my mother-in-law was being a bit nitpicky about everything, getting on everyone's case and demanding that everyone does everything perfectly. She was a bit of a perfectionist, and everyone would get annoyed with her every now and then. But to be honest, we were just so excited to give Robert the best retirement party he'd ever seen, because he worked so hard and he deserved it. Don't I at least get to know what the theme of the party is? Nope, not one bit. It's a surprise, Dad. I know, but it's killing me. Just give me something, anything. Just know that it's going to be the best party you've ever been to. Don't worry about the rest. Now, my husband Dane and I were involved in the planning too, but honestly, I was just there for the free food and to support my husband. Dane's dad, Robert, was a cool guy, and I didn't mind helping make his retirement party special. But as the planning went on, working with Geraldine got more and more stressful. She was on everyone's case about the decorations, the food, the guest list, you name it. Dane, didn't I tell you to get the terracotta streamers? That's what I did. No, this is orange, not terracotta. You're going to ruin everything. I'm sure it'll be fine. It's going to be pretty dark, so... Did I ask you? Oh, I guess not. Exactly, so shut your trap. Mom, don't be an ass. And don't be an idiot. You're making it really hard to work with you, you know? Well, maybe if you listened to me, I wouldn't have to be like this. Geraldine was getting on everyone's nerves, and some friends and family members dropped out of the event planning just because of how awful she was being. This just made Geraldine hound down on us, me and Dane, even more. Obviously, Dane and I couldn't drop out of organizing the event because, well, we loved Robert and we felt like it was going a bit too far, leaving Geraldine with no one to help her. So we decided to fug it out and deal with her BS. I know that retiring is a big thing, but did it really need a team of 20 people to put everything together? Geraldine was being extra, as always, with her planning, having unnecessary 2-hour meetings for things that could have been sent in an email. I know we all hate when that happens. But Dane and I stuck through it, of course, for the sake of Robert. One day, we were having one of her unnecessary meetings when I got a call from my dad, Maurice. Now, a little background about my dad. He was the kindest, sweetest, most charming person I had ever met, and I loved him with all my heart. He was a single father who decided to stick around for his kid. I know you don't hear that often, but trust me, there are some dads who would do that for their kids. So when my dad called me and said he needed to speak to me about something serious, I was ready to drop everything and leave because he didn't sound too good on the phone. I don't want to alarm you or bother you even. You could never bother me, Dad. What's going on? I need to talk to you. It's quite urgent and I don't know what to do. I'm on my way. I interrupted Geraldine in her meeting to tell her and Dane that I had to go see what my dad needed, and this pissed Geraldine off. She started yelling at me. This is so unprofessional. Why are you always so lazy? Every time I come here, you don't want to work. Don't you want your father-in-law to have the best party ever? Of course I do. But I have a father I have to get to. He needs me too. I'm sick of your excuses, Harley. Tired of her BS, I snapped back. Yeah? Well, I'm sick of you treating this like you're planning the Queen's Jubilee. Excuse me? You always have these unnecessary meetings. We discussed what we needed to discuss 2 hours ago. Yet here you still are, stressing us out because you're a perfectionist. Oh boy, that's when she really let me have it. She was shouting at me, calling me all sorts of names, and out of respect I did my best to contain myself, while also trying to explain that I was concerned about my dad. Dane was telling his mom to calm down, but she just started yelling at him too, saying some things I never thought a mom would say to their kid, and that's when I said, "Forget this, I'm leaving. Take me out of the group if you want to." I slammed the door behind me and I could still hear Dane and Geraldine arguing when I was getting in my car. I drove as fast as I could, feeling this sinking feeling in my stomach. I didn't know why, but my gut was telling me that I was about to get some horrible, horrible news. When I got to his place, I found him in tears, and this instantly broke my heart. In my 33 years of living, I had never seen that man cry, so I knew that this was something serious. "I'm dying, Harley. They told me that I'm dying." He said that the doctors told him he had lung cancer and that he had 2 to 3 months left to live, if that. It felt like my whole world was crashing down. How could this even happen? I told him to tell me everything he knew, and he went on to say that one day he wasn't feeling well, but he was putting off going to the hospital until it was getting hard for him to breathe. When he went to the doctor, they told him that they found that he had lung cancer. I didn't even know what to say. My rock was on the verge of dying, and I racked my brain for every possible solution I could think of just to help him in any way I could, because I couldn't imagine a world without him. We both broke down and cried in each other's arms that day. I didn't know how else to feel. I didn't think that anything like this would happen. It turns out my dad had a pretty weak immune system, which is why they didn't give him long to live. I spent the rest of the day just hanging out with him, spending time laughing and crying and reminiscing on the good times. When I got home late in the evening, I was met with Geraldine, who was still very pissed. Apparently she expected me to come back home 4 hours earlier. Whoops. Because I was already feeling sensitive considering the horrible news I got earlier, I just broke down. Dane immediately came up to me and asked me what was wrong, and I told him the news. "What's going on, babe?" "It's about my dad. He's sick." "Oh, Harley, I'm so sorry. What happened?" "Oh, come on, Harley. People get sick all the time. It's not the end of the world." "Geraldine, this is serious. My dad has lung cancer, and the doctors say he doesn't have much time left." "Well, I don't see why we need to make such a big deal out of it. People survive cancer all the time." "Mom! Show some damn compassion. This is Harley's father we're talking about." "That was such a rotten thing to say." "Maybe, but it's true. We have more pressing matters now. Besides, haven't you heard those stories where the doctors say some crap like, 'You have 2 weeks left to live,' but the person survives? All I'm saying is, don't believe everything that you hear." "Mom, this is not the time for your bullcrap. Show some empathy." "I won't be yelled at by my own son." "Well, maybe it's time you left. Harley's going through hell, and we don't need your negativity right now." Ugh, I should have known a wuss like you would take her side. Whatever. You two are useless anyway. I'm leaving." In the following weeks, Geraldine slipped back into our lives like a shadow, never acknowledging the hurtful words she had said to me during such a vulnerable moment. She went back to her usual meddling and micromanaging as if nothing had happened. Typical Geraldine. Then one day, Dane and I received a call from Dad. His voice trembled as he explained that things were getting worse, urging us to meet him at the hospital. Panic set in, of course, and Dane and I rushed to his side. And when we arrived, the sight of my father, frail and connected to all these thingamybobs and tubes, made me so scared. The doctors were baffled as well, wondering why my dad had declined so quickly, and their uncertainty only made things worse for me and Dane. Dad, weak but still trying to reassure me, struggled to speak. The tears were just streaming down my face uncontrollably. I clung to every moment, fearing it could be our last. The medical staff advised us to not speak to him as much as he needed to rest, so Dane and I stayed by his side, crying in silence. We ignored Geraldine's calls, and even after we told her that we were at the hospital with my father, she continued to call and bother us. Those weeks at the hospital were like a never-ending roller coaster, and every day felt like a mix of emotions. My dad was hanging on to life, and I was caught between the reality of losing him and the stupid stress of the retirement party. It was a juggling act of emotions, one moment crying in the hospital room and the next putting on a fake smile for Geraldine's sake. Obviously, my involvement in the planning was dropping, and Geraldine's anger only grew. She just couldn't comprehend that my world was falling apart. I've honestly never met someone more cruel. I didn't have the energy for her perfectionist whims, and some days I just didn't hide it at all. This wasn't about decorations or party favors. It was about watching my dad slip away. Then finally the day of Robert's retirement party came. Geraldine, being the queen of the event, seemed a bit more composed and relaxed. It was showtime for her stupid, redundant planning, and everyone was feeling the excitement except me. While they were setting up the champagne and some last-minute decorations for Robert, I was thinking about my dad. Of course, Geraldine gave me crap for how I was acting. She expected me to be the life of the party and to match her enthusiasm. If only she knew the struggle of keeping up appearances when your world is falling apart. Dane tried to stand up for me, and bless his heart, but every defense was met with a verbal attack from his mom. It was like a bad dream, caught between the surreal celebration and the painful reality of my dad's deteriorating health. I felt like an actress on a stage playing a role and smiling for the audience while crying behind the scenes. Then this bad dream turned into a full-blown nightmare. The night took a dark turn when the hospital called saying things didn't look good for my dad. They wanted me there to say goodbye, using that machine thingy, the ventilator, to keep him going, because without it, he might have been gone sooner. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and I hurriedly grabbed my stuff to rush to the hospital. But just as I was making a beeline for the door, Geraldine, the party maestro, blocked my way. "Where the hell do you think you're going?" I told her what the nurse had told me, explaining the urgency that every minute counted, but Geraldine, lost in her own world of perfect parties, wasn't having it. Instead, she started yelling, insisting that I stay because the party was more important than my dad dying. At that moment, shock met grief. How could someone be so heartless? How could she care more about her perfect party than my dad literally dying? It was a level of cruelty I just couldn't wrap my head around. How could you say that, Geraldine? What the hell is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with me? What the hell is wrong with you? I've asked you multiple times to stay here and help me host this party. Well, everything seems to be going well on this side. Why do you need me? Because it's all hands on deck, Harley. I know you wouldn't understand this, but I love my husband enough to throw this party for him. Everything needs to be perfect. I forbid you from seeing him." "You forbid me?" "Yes. I'm not going to let you or your sick dad ruin this for me. I mean, Robert. Don't you dare leave." "I don't have time for this crap. I'm leaving whether you like it or not." I stumbled towards the door, Geraldine still yelling behind me, turning our disagreement into a public spectacle. So much for having the perfect retirement party, right? Why would she cause a scene at something she's been working on for months? It just didn't make sense. I was starting to think that this whole thing wasn't even for Robert, but just something that she could show off to her rich and fancy friends. When she was yelling at me, she made it sound like I was the heartless monster. And when I glanced back at Dane and Robert, they looked concerned. They knew about my dad's situation, of course, so I'm sure they didn't mind. In fact, the only person who seemed to mind my absence was Geraldine. Dane tried to join me on the mad dash to the hospital, but his mom, of course, stood in his way, starting an argument with him. Time wasn't on my side, so I couldn't wait for them to sort things out. I needed to get to my dad ASAP. Rushing to the hospital, I found him looking weaker than ever. Every cough seemed to rack his body with pain. He couldn't even speak, and I knelt beside him, tears streaming down my face. It felt like the entire world was collapsing around me. In that heart-wrenching moment, I knew I was losing my dad. In the middle of the chaos, Geraldine's calls kept coming. Annoyed and grieving, I blocked her number. Wanting to spend whatever time I had left with my dad, I poured out my heart, telling him how much I loved him and how I'd missed him. Minutes later, his heart monitor flatlined and he lay completely still. My dad was gone, leaving an emptiness that seemed impossible to fill. I couldn't stop crying. As I grieved, someone touched my shoulder. It was Dane, who had finally made it. He was crying too, and he held me close, whispering apologies for everything. After the nurses solemnly came in to retrieve my father's lifeless body, Dane and I had no choice but to step outside. The sorrow that had gripped me now twisted into a fiery anger. I seethed at the thought that Geraldine's relentless pursuit of her perfect party had robbed me of precious moments with my dying dad. Expressing my frustration to Dane, he admitted he was just as pissed with his mom for her thoughtless actions. As we sat in the hospital, waiting to gather my dad's belongings, a surprise visit unfolded. Both Robert and Geraldine showed up, seemingly to pay their respects. Robert, of course, looked sad, but Geraldine just looked pissed as usual. A bit too little too late, Geraldine. "Harley, why didn't you tell me that this was the situation? I didn't know it was this bad." "Yeah, well, I was kind of pinched for time and I didn't want to ruin your beautiful party." "It was already ruined when you decided to leave." "Geraldine, stop it! You've been so insufferable lately. If I knew that this was happening, I would have cancelled the party altogether." Uh-oh. That didn't sit well with Geraldine. She began complaining about the time it took to sort everything out, and the tension escalated into a full-blown argument. I had always sworn I wouldn't be one of those annoying, dramatic people who fight in public. Yet, here we were, caught up in a scene that felt straight out of a soap opera. I couldn't help but notice the curious glances from onlookers as our family drama unfolded in the hospital corridor. "You think the whole world revolves around you, huh? Morris just died, Mom. What is wrong with you?" Geraldine went off on Dane as usual, throwing names and questioning his worth. Finally, he had enough of her verbal crap. He straight up told her he was done with her and didn't want her in his life anymore. Robert tried to step in, but Dane stood his ground. He made it clear Geraldine wasn't welcome, and it'd be better if she left. She probably thought he would let things slide and that he was being dramatic, but Dane wasn't having any of it. I was also surprised by how serious he was. He firmly pointed towards the exit, and she stormed out of the hospital. And then the unexpected happened. On her way home, apparently, Geraldine got into a serious car crash. Turns out she was speeding and not paying attention, resulting in a nasty collision with another car. Dane and I only found out later in the night as we had left the hospital and were getting ready to plan my dad's funeral. We had planned to spend the rest of the night just grieving and taking things easy when Robert called us with the news. "You guys need to come to the hospital quickly. I'm on my way right now. The paramedics were saying that she's broken a lot of bones. One of her ribs punctured her lungs, and they're saying it looks like she doesn't have much time. Please, hurry." We cut the call and we were just trying to wrap our heads around what was happening. This was a lot to take in. I mean, I literally just said goodbye to my dad earlier in the day, and now this? It was all so crazy. I got up, getting ready to do what Robert said, and when I saw that Dane wasn't even getting up, I looked at him, confused. "I'm not going to the hospital, Harl, and you shouldn't either." "What? Didn't you hear your dad? Your mom might not make it." "Doesn't matter to me. She's always treated me like crap. Why should I care if she's dying?" "I know you two have had your issues, and I know today wasn't easy, but Dane..." "I'm being serious, Harley. I don't want to see that woman." It sounds crazy to say, but he was being serious. He didn't care about his mother anymore. He said she was already dead to him, and he meant it. Cold, right? I tried getting him to come with me, but he just wouldn't budge. So I had to leave him at home like he wanted and made my way to the hospital. When I got inside, I dashed straight to the emergency room where Robert and Geraldine were. Geraldine looked like a complete wreck, wrapped up head to toe in bandages, tied up to all these tubes. I'm not going to lie, it was really triggering considering my dad looked a bit like that not too long ago. I felt heavy, and being in that environment was not good for me. What made matters worse is that she wasn't her usual bitter and pissy self. I had never seen her act like this. She was frantic, and she looked like a hurt, lost puppy. Understandable, given the pain she must have been in. But it was just odd to see her mask slip because she clearly wasn't expecting this. When she spotted me, she burst into tears. "Oh, thank God you're here." Thank God? Yeah, she was really scared. "I don't want to die. Oh God, Robert, please, I'm so sorry for everything. I don't want to die. Please, I promise to do better. I promise I'll be less of a nuisance." "Shh, my love, just rest. It will all be okay." "Oh my God, where's Dane?" The whole situation felt like I was stuck in some family drama I never signed up for, because now I had to be the one to break the news to them that their son was not coming. This revelation hit Geraldine like a ton of bricks, and Robert just looked hurt. "Really? I thought he was parking the car or something." "Nope. I tried to get him to come, but he said he was being serious earlier when he said that he no longer wanted to be in Geraldine's life." "What? How could he say something like that? Call him." Robert tried to call Dane, but he kept rejecting the calls. That's when Geraldine realized that she had lost her son and she didn't have any time left to get him back. There was some awkward silence in the room after that, and I wanted to crawl in a hole and die. I can't believe he doesn't want to come. He's being dramatic, right? How could he not want to see me?" "Well, I mean, you were mean to him." "But that's no excuse. I'm his mother. He's supposed to come to see me." "Well, Geraldine, I hate to say it, what with your condition and all, but you're not a nice person." "Excuse me?" "Harley, this is not the time or the place." By the looks of things, we don't have much time left. So when am I going to get the chance to say this? "Robert, I want her out of here." "Don't worry, I'll leave, but not before saying this. You have made the past couple of months a living hell for me. I've been trying to see my sick and dying father, and you tried to prevent that from happening. I hate to say it, but this just sounds like some good old-fashioned karma. What the hell are you getting at? You tried to keep me from seeing my own dad today. What makes you think you deserve to see your own son before you die? What? How dare you? Why, you're crazy if you're thinking I deserve this. I don't think. I know you deserve this. You're an awful parent and you don't deserve the love you get from your husband and your son. But now it's too late to love you again. And you did this to yourself. Geraldine was starting to feel like her normal self in that moment, I guess, because she started yelling at me as best she could and telling me to get out. I had no choice but to leave her and Robert behind, going back home to find my husband, who seemed to be more upset at my father's passing than his own mother's condition in hospital. Then, at 3 a.m., the news hit us. Geraldine had passed away from her complications. Robert called me to break the news, knowing that Dane probably wouldn't answer the call. Honestly, the whole situation was pathetic and sad. Do you know how awful you have to have your own kid refuse to see you when you're dying? I know she must have felt like absolute crap, and not just from the broken bones, but from knowing that she didn't have her son by her side on her own deathbed.